Awesome. Hey, everybody. This is a special report. TruePowerIsMine on the line today. I have Abdullah Alkidd. Alkidd is your last name?
Yes, Abdullah Alkidd.
Yes. Coach, he's a physical trainer. What would you say all about yourself, brother? I don't really, you got so much. I don't know exactly what to say.
Well, my name is Abdullah Alkidd, and I'm formerly or born as Lavani T. Kidd, and currently I'm a strength and conditioning coach, and that's basically what I do. I'm a former college football athlete. That's basically it. You know, currently I've been living in Saudi Arabia for the last 10 years. I had a famous case that we probably won't get into tonight, but I had a famous case that went all the way to the Supreme Court. I made case law twice.
Yes.
With the material witness statute. That's a long story. Maybe we can, if Patrick wants to, on another day, we can get into that and scratch the surface of that. But other than that, I'm a life coach, a business consultant, a security consultant. I'm a father, a husband, a friend to many. You know, I mentor a lot of people, a lot of youth, and that's about it.
Well, you know, I consider you a fabulous human being as well. You know, I'm very honored and very humble to actually be able to sit down and talk with you. Just right off the bat, I really want to go in. I kind of want to set it up with the Masonic influence on a number of black organizations in general. Okay, a lot of you guys don't understand. You cannot be a Freemason and hold religious, basically power, because you basically, when you go into the craft, you have to submit to them. They are the highest power in your life per se. With that being said, let's break down what we were talking about with the five brothers that were in the picture with all the Masonic regalia on, and what each one of those brothers represented.
I want to make a preface to the audience that I'm by no means an expert on Freemasonry or an expert on anything that I'm going to talk about. I'm human. I make mistakes. And I just want to make that as a preface. But I am a person that has spent years and years and years researching. We were talking, you know, about the conscious movement and its relationship to Freemasonry.
Right.
And a lot of people, if they hear that, that's like shocking. But if a person can separate themselves from emotion, the history does show that in terms of black consciousness, let's take, for example, Marcus Garvey, Noble Drew Ali, Elijah Muhammad, Fard Muhammad. Let's take these in particular. We have to say that the premise of their movement was based on Freemasonic principles and ideology. And that's reflected in their regalia, in their clothes, and it's actually reflected in the structure of the organizations in different degrees.
Right.
And on the surface, some of these groups would seem religious groups, and to a lot of people, it probably is a religious group. But I would say in the inner circle, it's Freemasonry.
Right.
And I'm not saying Freemasonry is bad or good, but when the surface is religion, but underneath is Freemasonry, I think that needs to be known.
Right.
And the thing about it is, you can take the historical point of view, or you can actually take the common era point of view, meaning in the last, let's say, 30 years. How many times has Louis Farrakhan confirmed what I'm saying? How many times has Dr. Khalid Muhammad confirmed what I'm saying, and other ministers of the Nation of Islam?
Mm.
And now we see the connection in the 2000s, the relationship with another religious group that on the surface is religion, but the source of the founder of it was a Freemason, and that's Scientology.
Yes.
And Ron L. Hubbard.
Racist
So
too.
I guess to the common man, or if we're going to say the grand chessboard of things, to the pawns, it's religion. But to the king and the queen, it's Freemasonry.
Now, Freemasonry, though, actually is in opposition to the crown. I mean, we take the example of the French Revolution, when basically it was orchestrated or kind of funded by Freemasonry. They took over the crown, chopped off the heads, and then it devolved into a basically bloody scene. I say this because if what we're suggesting here is in actuality the point of case, we already seen in historical backlog the conflict between the Illuminati and organized governments. Well, then they act as if they went underground and they totally did away with their plan, but their plan is still in effect and they're using tools. I'm not saying that Freemasonry in itself, like Abdullah said, is bad nor good. I'm just saying it is what it is. And if it's been subverted, then that means that the people doing the subversion, it's really their tool now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I would respond to that in a way is I think that not only the Illuminati. See, when I refer to, personally, when I use the term Illuminati, I'm talking about the group that came out of the University of Ingolstadt and then reemerged in, if I'm not mistaken, Yale University.
Skull and Bones.
This is, to me, that group and only that group is the Illuminati. I don't believe that there's this group called the Illuminati that's all-encompassing, controlling the world.
Right.
What I know from my research is that the Illuminati came out of the University of Ingolstadt. And what, in conjunction with what you're saying, you're absolutely right. What I say is there is a myriad of secret organizations.
Yes.
Freemasonry being one, Illuminati being another, the Knights of Malta, the Knights of the Round Table, and on and on and on and on. You have all of these different groups that actually go from the elite all the way down to the common man's level. If we just look at our local cities and look at our opinion leaders, power brokers, who's the mayor, who's the governor, who's the pastors, the bishops, who's on the city council, who's on the school board. And what you'll find when you start to look at this, and then when you start to look at these other civic organizations like United Way, and I can't think of all of these different names, but when you start to look at these entities that affect our everyday daily life, you're going to find that they're riddled with these kind of organizations.
At the top.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all, just even look, the Fraternal Order of Police. It's just, to me, growing up, it is what it is. I know for a fact, because I've done the research, in certain cities, if you're a businessman, there's only going to be a certain level you can reach unless you're part of one of those groups.
Right.
And that's just the way it is. And if you are successful, they're gonna either tap you on the shoulder, meaning to join, or you're gonna be squeezed out. I know a successful construction guy who was a victim of that scenario. And it happens even in universities. Let's say you have a group of people who are trying to get into medical school. Well, if you're not from a certain fraternity or sorority, you might not get into medical school.
They have that much of a grasp on power and access to
power?
I
mean, that's, to me, that's America. To me, that's America. That's just the way I see it. I'm not knocking anybody,
right?
But I just don't believe that everything is on a level playing field. Now, the real mind, I want to say a bad word, but the real thing that really gives people a spin is racism. Throw racism in there, and now you're really lost.
Yes, I just did a show today pointing out the secret symbols, the hand symbols these people are throwing up right in their faces, and that video is very short. It's only 7 minutes, but it shows you the level of control. They had this little boat trip, right? And on the boat, there was a black dude and this other dude. And the little white dude was like, yeah, this group here, we're all inclusive, all different races and diversities, but at the core, we have the same principle. And even this dude over here, pointing at the black guy, he's a fag, or he didn't say a fag, but he goes, he's a homosexual. And the black guy just starts smiling and shit. Then there was another brother holding the white guy in his arms, and the white dude was throwing up the symbol where he couldn't see him. And I'm like, oh my God, it's like they always, just like the Nazis did in World War II. They're like, oh, we don't misharm nobody. And they'll have a propaganda film showing, mentally challenged people eating soup and shit, at a big table. But in reality, they were taking those folks and putting them in gas chambers. That's how propaganda works. You always, get somebody who is your target, but you actually have them on your team as if they're your buddy. But then ultimately, behind the scenes, you're really eradicating them. And no one's the wiser until it's too late.
This, one thing, I've been living over here, but I'm always, watching what's going on back home. And the one thing that really, really, really concerns me is the push towards racial tensions in America. And, videos like that with the little hand sign and the whole little, how many messages does that video just send? I mean, you're talking about, the black guy's gay, the white guy's saying he's his friend, but he doesn't have the body language that he's really his friend.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of, indirect subliminals in that video. I don't really understand it. I saw it only just from your channel. I really don't understand it, but the thing that concerns me is just the social engineering.
Yes.
Because we just have to understand that the masses of the people are just going to follow whatever they see on the news or on the media. And they just fall right into whatever it is. And when I see this push towards racism, like we were talking before, the 8 years of Obama, we had all these slave movies, and then even the whole discussion of redefining what slavery is.
Right.
Oh, they were immigrants. It
was by choice.
Volunteered.
It was by choice.
But the thing that saddens me is that even with the subject of slavery, we, especially us in our 40s, we were done a disservice historically because there's a lot of things we don't know.
Right.
And we're finding out today about slavery, about blacks owning slaves, about blacks never being slaves,
Right.
about whites being slaves,
about black folks also being indigenous people to North and South America prior to Columbus even showing up.
Absolutely. This is all in a factor of this manipulation that's being pushed today in 2018. We want to forget the past and then throw us in this, this pressure cooker where the economy is going down. When the economy goes down, crime goes up, people get more desperate. Then you throw in a little racism.
They get fascist.
This is looking ugly.
It's looking like the Weimar Republic. It's looking like the Weimar Republic right before the Nazis came to power. All we're needing is that Great Depression, and that's the final brick in that wall.
It just saddens me, the apathy in society. It's like we've all been numb to pain and numb to suffering and people dying, and it's just a chance to pop out your phone and record who's gurgling on their last breath. It's just so sickening to see that humans have become dehumanized. That's what it is. This is the dehumanization of society.
Yes, by design, scientific, calculative, multi-year, and basically multi-decade, century design. This isn't something that's happening organic or naturally. Get out of here. This is a bunch of people. Now, it kind of almost sounds conspiratorial, like, oh, they're just sitting around the room smoking cigarettes. Okay, we're going to do this like a chess game. No. It's not that simple, all right? But there is an underlying spirit. Let's just say spirit or maybe mindset that all this nonsense coming out. Planned Parenthood. Let's just break that down, all right? You got this group that was founded by Margaret Sanger, that basically said the black race needs to be wiped out, okay? So when you go to major metropolitan areas, flip through the radio dials, all right? I guarantee you, on the country channels or the pop culture channels, you're not going to get no Planned Parenthood commercials. But you punch up the R&B channel or the rap channel, you're going to get Planned Parenthood commercials. And not only that, when you go to these neighborhoods that are predominantly minorities, you're going to get Planned Parenthood clinics that are wiping out babies. All right. And they were doing that to reverse that trend of the white woman giving up the baby for abortion. You see, because they're having a bit of a reproduction issue. All right. They're not being replaced faster than, they're basically dying off. So you have that in the back of a so-called nationalist mindset, the thought that black people can genetically wipe out their little race in the back of their mindset. And then once the economic hits their pocket, and now they're basically living, in a state of anomie, they don't really know what's going to happen. Then suddenly all their little leaders, their little speakers like David Duke and that are going to really start looking appealing. And then they're just going to gravitate towards that. It's sort of like when you throw everybody in a California jail. They automatically separate into their different little racial identities. And that's how the prison keeps control indirectly over the prisoners. Well, same thing's being played, folks, out here in society. This brother looks like, somebody, don't look like me, so I can't fuck with him. But that motherfucker may treat you better than someone who looks like you. It's all about your mindset. It's all about your heart. Where is that at? Because if that's correct, then your actions will actually dictate that. But if that's not correct, if you have different spirit in there than what we're really perceiving, then that's why you'll be like, man, how did Bob end up doing that? That was horrible. Well, the reason why, because Bob was basically playing you all that time. He was always an evil son of a bitch. It just took you realizing through his evil ass action that he's an evil son of a bitch. So it's like, what about, the ramifications of the historical presidents of Nazis coming over to America after World War II, you know, during Operation Paperclips, and there were several other operations.
What do you mean specifically?
Like, sort of like how NASA was Adam Weishaupt or Oppenheimer, basically was a Nazi, right? And he became basically the director of NASA. A lot of Masonic influences in NASA, and the reason why I can say that is because most of the moon landings and actually space shots in general, all the missions, or most of the missions, had ancient god names. The Apollo, the Gemini, the Orions.
Right.
All right. Well, these names are not just arbitrarily picked out of the sky, man. And if you even look at the artwork that goes along each, like space flight crew, have different patches. All right. And you look at the design of the patches, you can also see the Masonic slash, dare I say, cultish, you know, atypical religion in it. You know, we're not supposed to be, some people say we're not supposed to mix religion with government, right? So NASA is a government agency. So why are all these projects that are being funded by the American populace back in the 50s and 70s? Because you know we haven't been, quote unquote, to the moon since. Why were they named after Greek gods? You know, after ancient gods. You know, that no one worships. No one, you know, really, you know, maybe a cartoon or maybe a book or something. But no one's, you know, when's the last time you saw someone bow down in the middle of the street talking about, oh, mighty Zeus, please spare us, you know, or whatever. You don't see that. No one, those are like basically dead gods in a way of speaking. But I guess what I'm ultimately asking is, do you see a correlation between, let's just say for simplicity, Satan or evil religions and people specifically in certain organizations or certain government institutions in America or the United States?
From my research over the years, what I find is that you mentioned NASA. Now, I'm not saying the book is true, okay? But like I say, from my research, I'll take one book that I read, which is called The Jason Scholars, which is talking about an elite group of scholars within NASA. They're all into the occult.
Right.
The cult, you could call it Satan. I mean, you know, the cult, it has a wide meaning. I think people know what we mean by that.
Yes.
And you can look at other things, like, for example, when Ronald Reagan was president, after he had been shot, they relied on a witch that was into
numerology,
astronomy.
Oh yeah,
astrology.
Yeah, I heard Nancy Reagan was into that.
And that's how he moved. And these kind of things are documented. You can. I think it's the name of the book of Nancy Reagan. What's that called? My Turn. I think it's My Turn.
I think
that's the name of the book. But if you find the book that Nancy Reagan wrote herself, some of this is covered in it, and other materials about the Reagan presidency, particularly after he had been shot. So what I'm saying is, you'll find a lot of occultism in the upper echelons of society. You will find that, whether it's in the entertainment business, whether it's in government. I'm not saying completely, but they're obviously there. I mean, I think everyone. I mean, I'm pretty sure some people are aware of Dr. Michael Aquino. He's the founder of the Temple of Set, and he was a very high-ranking military guy.
Now that's scary. That's terrifying.
And then when you look at some of the And these are things that you find in just common documentaries, you know. You might find it on the History Channel. You might find it on one of FBI Files. You might find it on, you know, and some of the techniques that are used in high-level government intelligence, namely remote viewing, and you know, and even there's things you can find things written by top scientists within the government. They might talk about astral projection.
Now we're getting the realm of magic. Now we're talking about magic.
Yeah. So also black magic within the used in certain intelligence alphabet groups. You know, I don't want to say specifically because I don't want to say it. I don't want you to I don't want to be misquoted. Right. But this information is out there, and so like I was saying before about all these different groups, I think that is America. No. Wherever you look, especially when you get at the highest levels, and I'm not saying completely because I can't speak for completely, but I know from the research that I've done, and I come from a generation before Google. I come from a generation before YouTube. I come from a generation where we go to the library.
Yes, sir.
So, you know, my research is based on real research, not Googling things. So, I mean, like I said, to answer your question, yes, you know, I'm not saying completely, but you find that. Actually, some of this is relevant to today, and what's going on in the government right now. The Clinton emails, if you really go back, some of the stuff that is in the Clinton emails scandal is about Tony Blair's wife and her connection into the occult.
Oh yeah,
and also that lady what's her Abragamov? What is that lady that does the spirit cooking?
Oh my God, hold on, can't think of her name right offhand. I'm still thinking about Tony Blair.
She's in Jay-Z's music video.
Not Beyonce, or no? That's
no. This is like oh man, you're gonna make me look it up. What is that lady's name? Okay, but I mean, what's the lady's name?
But the reality here, folks, is that magic, okay, is real. It's real to the extent that there's forces outside.
That's her name. Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh,
Marina Abragamich. Marina Abragamich. Now this is this is New York Magazine.com, November 4th, 2016. This is about these stuff that's still burning. This is cooking real hot in the government. This is the first time, like I was telling you, that I've never ever seen this much fragmentation within the U.S. government in my research and in my lifetime. But anyway, what was revealed, some of the things that were revealed in those Clinton emails is this. I'll just read the headline. Report: Clinton linked to satanic rituals involving kidnapped children and Marina Abragamich. So your question was about government. There it is.
Wow.
I didn't write the article, and I didn't make the accusation.
Wow. I mean, can we talk a little bit about the jinn, and explain to people how
you want to talk to? I mean, you want me to give you the Islamic perspective, or you want me to talk about the jinn, digestible for everyone?
Digestible for everyone pertaining to magic.
Okay.
How they can make it look.
Okay. Even with digestible for everyone, it's still, it's an Arabic word. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, and the jinn, in simple terms, is of the unseen world, the spirit world. We don't see spirits.
Right.
We don't see for those who believe in angels, demons, devils. For those who believe in that, those are things that are unseen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and what I mean by unseen is like we're where we are right now. We're not seeing none of that. Okay. Now you have people who make claims that they see this or that. Okay, we're not talking about that.
Right.
So our realm of existence as human beings is cut off to their dimension. Magic, real magic, is the entrance and the cooperation between the spirit world and humans. And that's how you get real magic. The difference between the sleight of hand and real magic is that the human is cooperating with the jinn in order to make these miraculous things in front of their face. Some of the things they can do is change their shape. They can be in the form of an animal. They can come in the form of a human. They can carry a human across the sky on a carpet. They can carry a witch on a broom across the sky. They can make a normal man seem as though he's holy. This is well documented in Islamic historical texts about the people who came using magic in order for people to follow them. Okay.
Now, is that also related to sex magic, or does that involve different entities?
Well, sex magic is real. Sex magic is real. Now, within magic, one thing, and I'm a researcher, so I have at least well over 100 books on magic. I told you this off the air, that I was a kid, you know, in the 8th grade, interested, not in necessarily practicing magic. I just wanted to understand it.
Right.
So anything I could get my hands on that was related to magic, I got my hands on it. So as I got older, I started to study, you know, Halloween and all as much magic. And I'm not going to be able to quote some of these things, but one thing I just want to say is that magic comes in all different forms from different cultures. So you have magic that is you can say distinct and different in its use and application that comes out of Africa. You have some that comes out of the Arabian Peninsula. You have some that comes out of Europe, some out of Asia, some out of the Indian subcontinent. So rituals, you know, you could say like a guru of magic is going to try to find the strongest magic from all the cultures.
And who was a guru in our modern times? Who was a guru?
Well, the person that did that in our times would be Aleister Crowley. He went all over the world. He went all over the world trying, and you know, I think some people say he spoke up to 7 or 9 languages. He was fluent in Arabic. He went all over Egypt and Morocco and all different of the African and Arabic countries to learn the Arabic magic and the African magic. And of course, he went all over Europe. And just like most people that get into magic, he ended up going crazy.
Is that because demons take a toll on you?
When you tap into that realm, it doesn't come without a price.
Right.
It doesn't come without a price. Now, let someone of your viewers say, "Oh, he's saying that because he's a Muslim." Okay, just do your own research and don't read nothing that comes from an Islamic perspective. And trust me, when you get into those magic books, ain't nothing coming without no price.
Nothing's for free,
In
folks.
magic.
Nothing's
Ain't nothing for free. Including magic is nothing for free. Okay? Listen to people who were known to have delved in magic. Listen to their testimony.
It's always awful at the end.
I know a personal friend that went crazy and died from magic, and he was now. You want me to get you crazy, Patrick?
Yes.
This was my Muslim brother.
He went with magic?
Yes. It started out that he liked a girl, and the girl, they were just playing around, getting drunk, smoking weed, eating mushrooms, and they would play on a Ouija board.
Oh, God, no.
So, in his quest to impress her, because this guy was genius level guy. I went to college with this guy. He was a genius. He was smart. Extremely smart. So in order to press him, guess what?
What?
He becomes an expert in magic.
He becomes a warlock?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And the end result is he went absolutely nuts.
You hear me, folks. Hear me, young people. Those games,
absolutely nuts.
They're not worth
and the
it.
last I heard, the last I heard someone saw him, he was, walking around the street butt naked, talking to himself, and I have some real, I have a story of a time when, with this particular individual, when he was actually, possessed.
Gosh.
Yeah. Because he was attacking where we used to pray. We had a little small house that that was a mosque, for us, Muslim students, and he was going to burn it down. So one of the guys, he knew a little bit about exorcism. So he had me hold this guy down, and he started to read Quranic verses on him. And man, I'm an ex-football player. I'm strong. I tell you, man, holding that guy down for 15 minutes had me sore, had my arms, my legs, my abs sore for 7 days. That guy had strength. I played football with guys that used to take steroids. Obviously, some of the guys I played with were on steroids, but I never had felt a strength like the strength that this little skinny guy had when he was under that. Now, people that don't believe in that's fine. You can believe that he was just going through a schizophrenic spell or whatever.
Right.
But I'm gonna tell you, yes, I'm Muslim, okay, but I guarantee you that any human that was with me would know that was something not right. That was not right there.
Now, what about the spiritual sense in the room? Did you feel like an evil like that movie Exorcist and all that?
Yeah, by the time, it's funny you say that. Okay, so this guy was reading on this guy, right? Mm-hmm. And I was a new Muslim at the time. I probably had been Muslim for a year or two. Okay, so you're talking about I was really young. I was probably like 21 years old, and he gets a page. There was pagers back then because his wife was pregnant. And it had 911. So he runs to the phone to call his wife, check on his wife, see if she's having a baby. And he just says, hey, whatever you've memorized from the Quran, just read it on him over and over. Man, I tell you, every moment that I was reading to this guy, I felt my energy being sapped out of me. I mean, every ticking time, just as time was floating away, I felt all of my inner energy was just going to, it's just, you know,
Being
coming out of me.
Being
And soon as the guy started to read because there's certain verses that are supposed to be read when a person is doing an exorcism. I had not known those at that time. So when he started to read that again, it came back to me. I was back to normal. I could hold, I was stronger, you know? So that was, you know, that's one experience. I have experience even before I was Muslim with, not exorcism, but possession.
What was that?
And this is okay. So
this is tell me what religion you was before you became Muslim.
So I was about, how old was I? You know, I was probably like 12, 13. And I had a cousin that lived up north of Seattle. And on the weekends we used to go there, and I used to love it because I was whenever I come to their neighborhood, I was the new face, so I had more action at the girls. You know? So, and the older guys, you know,
jealousy.
The older guys like me because it always happens. I don't know why, but you know, because there was a guy that tested me, and I lumped him up. So the older guys, that's okay. This guy can hold his own. He can roll with us.
Right.
So these guys, you know, this is my generation when we did some bad stuff. Okay, so they get the cigarettes, they get the wine coolers, and they got these girls. These girls are all like about, you know, anywhere from 17 to about 14 years old. Okay, and I'm hanging out with the big guys. So everybody's doing their thing and everything, you know. Everybody's trying to ease up on one of the girls. Da 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 da. All of a sudden, man, one of the girls just started flipping out. Her eyes rolled back in her head, and she started talking in a voice that wasn't her voice. And man, we was all flipped out. The police got called, the ambulance came, and they literally strapped her to the gurney, put her in the ambulance, and had everybody in the neighborhood bugged out. That's before I was even Muslim.
Oh, she wasn't on no drugs? Nobody spiked her drink? Or
Hey man, there was I didn't see no drugs. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, I was at the age. I was at that age. I didn't play with no drugs and nothing like that.
Yeah, not that.
You know, I was in the mix. Yeah, at that age, I was in the mix, but I wasn't in the mix like that. And I was, you know, being sober. You know, you're gonna see. I didn't see no drugs, but I mean, that was an experience that the whole neighborhood knows. You know, my whole, you know, my aunt and uncle, my family, because the police and everybody came. Everybody seen that girl go nuts. You know, and it's like it made everybody feel like we all believe she was possessed.
She might have been. I mean, we all know that no matter what drug you use, you potentially, if you're not spiritually sound, you open yourself up to these demonic entities to possibly possess you. Because think about it. Right now, brother Abdullah, you are possessing a body. I am possessing a body. The only matter on earth that I can manipulate and walk with and talk with, you know, I mean, the cells in my body is damn near identical to those cells over there in those potato plants down in the ground. All right. Or the squirrel running up the tree over there. All right. But I can't possess either one of those things. But I can possess this body. That being said, if something's out there that's more powerful than you and you allow it to get control over your heart or perhaps even your mind, then it could possess you as well.
You're absolutely right. And one thing that we probably take for granted, just to know how delicate our souls are, and that there is separation between soul and body, is in sleep.
Yes.
I think no matter what religion you have or what your belief system is, I think one thing we can all agree on is when you go to sleep, there's disconnect between the soul and the body. I think.
Uh-oh. Hello? Oh, damn it. Damn it. Oh, fuck. Oh, my God. I'm sorry, guys. The feed just broke. I've been having issues with my computer. It crashed. I'm going to get Brother Abdullah back. Please bear with me. You know, this is typical. The other morning show, special report. This is what happens. This is my struggle. All right. So I'm working as fast as I can. I'm trying to reboot the computer here.